Hello and welcome to Making Creativity Pay, the podcast where we talk to people in creative industries about how they promote and market their work. I'm Dan Barnett, and on this episode I spoke with some of the writers and performers of Gobby Girls, the Afterparty, which is on at the Soho Theatre from the 20th to the 22nd of November. We talk about their sold-out Edinburgh Fringe run and how it went from idea to performance in just a matter of weeks, as well as taking a new show to the Soho Theatre. We also talk about the importance of community and the support they get from the group, as well as discussing how the show came about, online promotion, and the value of improvisation. I started by asking each of them to give a quick introduction about themselves.
Hello, I'm Jo. So I was a writer for the Edinburgh show, and sadly one of the cast had to drop out, Beck, but that means I'm in the cast. Hello. So I'm now joining the cast for the Soho Theatre. Gobby Girls, I first stumbled across the great Gina Lyons at the BCG Comedy Conference years ago, and then I ended up joining this famous WhatsApp group with 1,000 women in it, where there's lots of people sharing lots of opportunities, and Gina posted this, so I applied with a sketch and a performer reel. Ouch. But I got to come in for the Soho reel, for Soho show. So yeah, that's me really. And then in real life, I work in TV, working a lot of like comedy entertainment or entertainment TV shows, and I cast. So I cast real people. So I feel like an undercover spy.
Hi, I'm Noor. I'm Libyan. I'm a performer, stand-up and writer. And I got into Gobby Girls as well, with the WhatsApp group, and Gina put like a open call, I guess, out for it, and then submitted a video of me screaming on a beach. I'll give no more context. And yeah, and then they asked to see something else because I think they were like confused. So then I said something else, and then I had a meeting, and now I'm here.
Hi, I'm Claire Rafferty. I'm an actress and writer, and I kind of like everyone else. You know, I found the Gobby Girls like invite on Instagram. I was following Gina, because I love the kind of stuff that Gobby Girls production did, and I just kind of joined that group, and the whole ethos of the group when you started was very quickly you could see just say yes to everything, and kind of like I found that really infectious, and found personally overcoming barriers of within myself to put myself out there, and very quickly that group kind of led me to just keep saying yes, 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 and now it snowballed, and to think that I joined that group in February and then was on a show with everybody in August, and then go to Soho Theatre with this all feeling like a collective juggernaut, that we're all together. It very much speaks to the ethos of what even that WhatsApp group is, so I'm delighted.
Hi, I'm Laura Evelyn, actor, writer, improviser. I attempted to join the Gobby Girls WhatsApp community maybe a year ago, was it, when it was created, and pretty quickly left soon thereafter. Not a fan of too many WhatsApp groups with constant notifications. It's a me problem. I need to clear the notifications. But then I got a long-standing relationship with the Female Pilot Club. I've done a lot of their readings, pilot script readings. And Gina slid into my DMs after watching me in the most recent one at Leicester Square Theatre. I did see that there was auditioning going on for writing, acting for the Edinburgh show. Was very lucky enough to go to Edinburgh. Now we're in Soho, and it's nuts and it's scrappy, and I feel really lucky to be part of such a very just amazing bunch of women. Yeah.
What can people expect from the show at Soho Theatre?
Swear words.
Oh.
Let's go around the group.
Yeah, I think I spoke over you. What did you say?
I said swear words. What did you say?
Vaginas.
Yes.
Yeah, it's like the material. This is a brand new show from what we did in Edinburgh, which I think was a shock to all of us. You know, we thought we were going to be able to transfer, just physically transfer our bodies. That's it. But the stuff, the material, again, is like, it is so funny. You know, even just reading it, I just go, you know, it's brilliant, and it will be funny and chaotic. You know, Laura said scrappy, and I think like there's an element of like there's definitely a frenetic kind of energy of, because it's live and it is, relatively under rehearsed in a way, but all the way that we've definitely got a cohesion as 8 to work together, and it kind of adds to it. And there is a bit of improv and stuff when if things go wrong or whatever, you trust everyone to bring bring the funny. They're all funny women. Like when I look around, I'm going, I can't believe I'm with these girls. They're brilliant.
And so you've got 3 shows at 10:15 in the evening and one at 4.
Yeah, I go to bed at 9:30.
I was going to say, I mean, how do you kind of anticipate the atmosphere being different between the 4 o'clock and the 10:15?
Yeah, the writing has been geared partially toward a late night audience. So an audience that might have had a few drinks, might need waking up with some sharp tongued jokes, some obvious actually over their head with the ideas that we have. So when we found out the slot, we started to tailor the work to it. Yeah.
And I'll be screaming obviously to wake them up because that's why I've been hired. So.
Yeah, I think the Edinburgh show, it was 5:30, so it was lovely. Everyone, it was a bit more kind of sober, I mean, literally. I think the content was largely about, it was about 11% of sitcoms are written by women, which is horrendous. And we were kind of looking at the horrendous ingrained misogyny in the industry and in life. And now we've just gone, do you know what? It's actually, no matter what you do, being a woman is shit. But what I quite like about this one is that it's not just the men that are dickheads. We've got women who have been dickheads, which, I mean, I love women, joy, love them, but it's just nice to be a dickhead, isn't it?
And we love dickheads too.
We love
Yeah. We need to give them space.
Yeah. Hold my finger, Lauren.
Yeah. I think we've also tried to make it a bit more kind of like not just industry focused, because that was very much about what it's like to work in the TV industry, and we were in Edinburgh and it was at the same time as the TV festival, so that was great. So for example, I am playing Mel Schilling off of Married at First Sight, counselling some people that you will recognise from life, and that's very much universal, and we've just got kind of more universal scenes about just life, and it's like our therapy, really. It's like Screaming on a Beach, but in show form.
Yeah, and in practical terms, you've got 8 performers on a stage. What's the most of you on stage at one time?
8, I think.
8, yeah.
With everything.
Yeah, they are all. I would say this time around it's more 3, maybe 3 to a sketch. Up at Edinburgh, it was like you had a lot of 2-handers, but we've got there's a couple where we're all on there. Just
So it's kind of organised chaos is probably the
why
kind
not?
of vibe.
Yeah, we've yet to lock anything, and we're on next week, but sure. We'll be grand.
Yeah. Our producers are incredibly organised. I would not say I'm organised. I would just say I am chaos. We'll see what happens.
Dan, just to say that a part of the reason why this is so scrappy and could and does feel a little under rehearsed, but not in a bad sense, is because when Gina cast the project for Edinburgh and for Soho, it was important that we represent UK, Ireland, as much as possible. So it's an impossibility for us all to rehearse with regularity. It's impossible for us to workshop scripts. We're on Zoom a lot and chatting to writers. It's a kind of a virtual writers' room and an actors' room, directors' room. So. But it is hard. Comedy is so predicated on chemistry and energy and rhythm and all those things. But it's nevertheless important that we represent, geographically, there's diversity. And I wouldn't change that. And I would never change working with these women. They're an absolute joy to work with and so talented.
Even at that, so the representation, but also it speaks again to the ethos of what the Gobby Girls, even that the accessibility, people who are not maybe based in London or felt like, oh, well, that's a far reach for me ever going to Soho because I've got kids and I live up in Scotland, or that those barriers are removed, which I think is amazing, and it's great. That aspect's great, and we just work around that. And then when we all meet next week, we'll have, we'll all be able to slip back in and tap into that cohesion.
We'll be giddy, won't we? I was just trying to work out where we're all from. So we've got Belfast, Leeds, Southampton, Bristol, London. Nor, you're in
Chesterfield, where it's all happening.
Yeah. 3 of us in the cast have kids. some with 3 kids, not
Yeah.
me. Animals, jobs, lives.
Yeah.
Lord, you know, you guys are doing amazing shows at the same time. Like it's wild, but it's amazing. Sorry, I'm completely repeating you guys, but it's amazing to be able, kind of bearing in mind our life situations where we live, to be able to do something in the Soho Theatre. That is just great.
Yeah, it's a fantastic venue. And, also, I think a lot of people I've spoken to in their heads when they did obviously step one is do a show at the Fringe and then, do well enough at the Fringe to say, yes, I can take it to Soho Theatre as well. Those two goals have been a lot of people's aims. Talking about kind of putting it all together and trying to organise it. I mean, how long before the Edinburgh Festival did you know that it was going to be a thing? Because a lot of people I speak to, probably it's November now, in their head they've already got the workings or the beginnings of a show and looking to book things, but I'd imagine it was a lot closer to the time.
The timings were unbelievable. I think Gina was offered a slot 6 weeks before we went on, and she didn't have a cast, an idea for the show, material, anything. So she said yes, just went, yep, I'll take it, and then went, okay. And then it was call out, casting people, getting the material, and actually our Edinburgh Fringe, which was really successful, and we sold out and we got pick of the Fringe, and that was great. But we had only that when we were on stage at Edinburgh, the first night we'd only literally met each other 3 times for the 3rd time. And it worked, but that time frame was very different to other people who are maybe workshopping right now for next year and taking it really seriously. No, we just
and shows with funding as well. There's no funding here. We're all just mucking in.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously it was relatively short notice last year, but is there a plan for Fringe 26 already?
Oh,
We have hopes and dreams.
yeah. We just can't spoil it yet, but we don't even know. But
It's when this feature film starts filming, really.
Yeah. And the sitcom, Joe, we can't forget that.
The
Oops! Oh
sitcom.
my God, sorry, guys, I'm so
TV
sorry.
sketch.
I mean, there's definitely plans pre-Edinburgh to keep doing other things, so I think while Edinburgh may be on the table, we're literally thinking about probably the show after this,
And I know a number of you have kind of worked in online, whether that's sketch, short film. Do you kind of see that's where it could possibly go as well? And obviously then the issue around logistics isn't quite as bad as having to all be in one place for a month. You can kind of...
Yeah, I think definitely. I think the writers, largely all of us, write for TV, and definitely when we've written the sketches, we write it in TV format and we think of TV. And actually, definitely pre-Edinburgh, it was about thinking of making things even bigger for the stage. So we're all kind of TV writers in that sense, and then performers as well. So I think in terms of our just natural skill set and writing, definitely. And then obviously kind of headed up by Gina, who's obviously TV. We just know it will definitely work. And I think because it's very much rooted in real life, but kind of sending it up in that ridiculous way, it kind of really would work for a TV sketch show. But as we know, the TV industry is a joy at the moment. So it's just about kind of actually getting there and getting Nor screaming down the doors. I'm on all of us. It's not just on you, Nor, but
Thank you.
The USP of the show would also transfer really nicely to TV. It's written, performed, directed, produced entirely by women, and there's something ridiculously refreshing about that. But that's how we sell the show as it is on stage, and there's definitely room for that, and should be on TV, and it would be, I would say, a very kind of enticing prospect for any commissioners, even if I do say so myself.
Yeah. There's a craving for it. I heard recently that there's been too much female stuff on TV recently, so we need to kind of bring the man back. And it's no, we want to watch stuff. Smack the Pony is still spoken about as because it's amazing and it's brilliant, but that was the last, I think, all kind of female sketch show, and that was in the late 90s, which is wild. So
there have been others there have been, and I'm on a much shorter form way, but with no ability to find momentum in the various on iPlayer or Channel 4. The difficulty in bringing back Smack the Pony, whatever those difficulties are. I wonder, have they combined with this move to digital I don't really, I don't understand why our voices aren't being heard. And I don't understand why, if there was such an institution, and they came to see the Edinburgh show, and they loved it, and did a little Instagram video, which just blew my mind because I'm a huge fan. Yeah, it baffles me. But it's a confusing and uncertain time, I think.
To add on to that, when we were in Edinburgh, we flyered for our show, as you do, and like our question or our like little sell was to go up to people and be like, do you think women are funny? And they'd say, well, you'd hope they'd say yes, and then we'd go incorrect and give them our flyers. But some people actually said no, they're not. And the thought still like exists somehow for some reason. And what was wild is that like it was across ages as well. There were like, some men and older men, but then there was literally people that looked my age that said that to my face, and I was baffled by that. So I don't know, there's also that thought still exists somehow in 2025. It's crazy.
For the show, and what kind of gender split was there in the audience?
It was quite varied, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it was about 50-50, probably more leaning to women, but that was an Edinburgh show, lots of couples. So I
The
don't
age range seemed pretty wide as well.
Yeah, so it was quite varied. We're universal guys. But it'd be really interesting to see who comes to Soho in that kind of split.
I thought it's interesting having the 4 o'clock because, yes, there are the practicalities of being in London at 10:15 on a Friday night.
It was really important to us to kind of have that slot for 4 p.m. So, people who do have families, other commitments, work, live out of London as well, don't have to get, late trains and stuff. It was really important for us to have that slot. And obviously, we couldn't be really choosy about the slots, but we were offered the 10:15, and then it was our producers kind of saying we really would love the 4 p.m. to make it more accessible. So that's great. And obviously that one sold out fast. So yeah, we have sold out at 10:15 on Saturday now, which is great. So we'll just see a couple more tickets left for Thursday, Friday.
As I say, Laura, probably most of you work in improv. I mean, how important was that in terms of kind of getting the show ready? And like you said, you've only got so much time together. Was that kind of experience useful for this show?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, just keeping loosey-goosey, keeping it fresh, because for the Edinburgh show, for example, we had only met each other. Was it a couple of weeks before we did the Edinburgh show, guys?
Did 1 week before. We
Yeah.
met and did a preview a couple of hours later, as you do,
Yeah, just meeting the cast for the first time, and as I mentioned earlier about chemistry and rhythm, and also personality. We're bringing our personalities to these roles, and it's very difficult for that to translate over online. So I was definitely digging deep into my improv sort of world in terms of appreciating, listening a lot, and being open to the fact that I've been rehearsing these lines in my head, in my flat, on my own, listening to my own voice for a few weeks now. Like, what's it going to be like seeing this whole other sort of set of DNA, and how that might impact the scene, might impact my character, and an appreciation for that rather than freaking out, which would be very justified considering the lack of rehearsal, the lack of workshopping. So yeah, absolutely. And I recommend improv to anyone. I think it, in this day and age, a wonderful balm for nerves on stage, or God, in a meeting, in a corporate setting. Highly recommended.
Yeah, I think for me, joining the cast, literally this week, every time I start to shit myself, I remember you've done improv, you've done stand-up, it's okay, you'll be fine. And Laura, we could really, like, watching you in Edinburgh, you could see that you're improv because like we have music kind of going through the whole show, and Laura's just there like, need some more. I'm not going to do your dancing, but it's so good. You see, you're just feeling the vibes, and it's great. And I think the more of that, the better. And I think what is exciting about a 10:15 audience is if there are moments of kind of that interaction. Don't worry, we're not going to call anyone out and pick on anyone. It's not stand up, but we can kind of play with the audience, play with each other, and just have a bit more fun, I think.
No, I know you were at the Women in Comedy Festival, so it's probably about a month ago now. How did you find that? And as I mentioned earlier, I had Amy, who runs the Women in Comedy Festival, on the podcast recently. I mean, kind of, how did you find the experience?
Yeah, it was like so lovely and supportive. The audience, despite it being a Women in Comedy Festival, was still very like varied, as we're saying about our show. And yeah, I just feel like it just does give like this a safe space for women to try things. There was like a show before mine that was a whip, and it was a split bill, and they had like such a lovely reception, and I think they'd early in their career as well. So yeah, it was just really nice. And Amy is amazing. Like even with running stand up in general and doing Beat the Frog, she is like conscious in her emails and organizing it of like if there are women performing, then she tries to like pair them up to have someone to go home with, or gives them their number to kind of like check, or gives them her number to check in with them. So yeah, I think it's so important that these spaces exist until the balance, like until it becomes more balanced. I think things like the Women in Comedy Festival are just amazing for women in comedy.
Doing some quick research and everything. And I saw, Joe, that in your kind of day jobs in casting, and one of the things you did was Naked Attraction, which made me think, God, what kind of, do you get PTSD from that?
I had the best time ever. Just so much fun. I did the pilot and then series 1 and series 2, and it was just amazing because I really stand by the fact that if you're the kind of person who's going to get naked on a dating show, where else to meet your perfect partner? Because you're just gonna match. We did have a marriage.
Wow.
And I'd actually spotted them before. I was like, if she picks him, it's gonna be better. And then they found love and stuff, and it was just the most ridiculous, most amazing show. I think we contacted the first series about 20,000 people, and we found however many who went on 100. And those amazing people who go on that kind of show, they're so much fun. They're so up for it, and they're great. And I felt like a doctor in the end because I was so immune to genitals. I just didn't blink at all. I mean, I'd be doing hundreds, and I'd just be like, cool, great. And then one of the sketches, which was in the Edinburgh show, which Noor was in, playing me, was on Naked Attraction. Obviously, I made it into a kind of like monster role and ridiculous and heightened and stuff, and that's not what it's like. But it's definitely taken inspiration from my writing too, in a very non-disclosure. No one's.
And in terms of finding the right kind of people and kind of being online, I mean, do you see a lot of similarities in terms of the kind of people who want to be on these kind of shows and kind of performers? And, you know, are there kind of common things between them?
Because it's kind of, I hate the word reality, but because it's real, we actually tend to look for more people who don't always do that. Some people do, and they have done stand up and they are performers and they come on. But we are really looking for real people who have really normal jobs, who, if they wanted to go into, you know, a comedy career or something, they would nail it. But you kind of want people who are just naturally hilarious and brilliant and funny, but they also work in accounts, that kind of thing. And it's tricky to find those people because I think also for any show, you've also got a format to fit. They have to kind of, something like Am I the Arsehole for Comedy Central, they had to be an arsehole, but they had to be a lovable arsehole. And it had to be a thing that they'd done, that they wanted kind of clarity on. Am I the arsehole for eating 12 sausages at a hotel buffet? It's something that we can debate about. You know, Jordan was a lovely guy. It's that kind of thing. So it can't just be like, hi, I've got personality, I want to be on TV. It's like, okay, cool. For this particular show, you know, do you work with the format? Have you got the right stories? Have you got the right thing? And so many people who are amazing and wonderful, they don't kind of necessarily make the show because they're just not quite right in the mix or whatever. But I do always remember people and kind of if there's something that's right for them, then yeah. So I don't tend to kind of work with actors. I don't go on Spotlight. I don't kind of send out briefs and breakdowns. I've worked with agents, but you know, it's much more just kind of like Linda down the pub who wants to be on telly, and finding those kind of people.
I mean, how do you all find the need to be online these days and put your work out there and be out there constantly and, for want of a better word, constantly creating content? I mean, how do you find that?
Up until recently, I wouldn't really have ever done kind of content, and you know, it's you know, you would go through the traditional. My career was built on traditional routes of self-taping or meetings, and that was grand. But I think after a while, I just realized, yeah, you just feel like when I kind of moved into writing my own stuff and writing scripts, I knew that there was a tool there that I could use that would be beneficial. And there's different types of content creators, or a reason for putting content out. And mine was very, just possibly proof of concept of characters or showing something that I can do. And it does work. But I would limit myself, just because I don't know, there's something about it that feels still like a double-edged sword, and I can't really articulate why. I probably don't need to. People understand, you're putting stuff out there, and but there's no doubt about it. It's helpful, and it can help, but I still very much am fully in the traditional route as well
Yeah.
of taping and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I know the show was broadcast on Next Up. I mean, did you get much feedback from people who'd seen it through that?
Comments on the live stream, and people were enjoying it on there. And we enjoyed it. Our friends and family, like my family, for example, who live in all parts of the world. I can't even speak. Like they got to watch it, which I guess that's the wonderful thing about the digital aspect of the industry and streaming and that kind of thing. But yeah, we saw nice comments. I don't know what you guys, if you guys heard it, other stuff.
I think there was some interest. People will have gone straight to Gina with that, just to say saw the show on Next Up. I think goes back to what we were saying about this transition to the digital world. I sound so old when I say digital world, but I think it's useful to say to yourself, if I had 10 people in the audience at Edinburgh, if I didn't get a Soho transfer, that's not to say that if you've been able to get a little slot on Next Up or similar, that people that you want to watch your content will be watching it. So I think it's heartening, but also very hard to quantify what that reach is, unless you get strange people sliding into your Insta DMs and saying nice but strange things. That's another story.
I want to know that story. Is that for after?
And yes, ideally you could see this as a TV sketch show, but do you think in the interim it could kind of live on YouTube or TikTok or wherever it would be?
Definitely. I think I use the word TV I think because I know that TV is moving to digital and there are digital platforms. I think this could, when I think TV, I also think kind of digital. And obviously, Channel 4 is moving kind of online, doing to digital. And I think this is perfect for a digital platform, definitely. And if it got to TV, great. If that's, the way the industry is still going, brilliant. But I do think it really is perfect for a digital thing. And I know that we have spoken about it. It's
Yeah,
just,
it has been talked about too. We didn't know where Edinburgh was going to go, but very, very quickly it has moved to the next level, and then potential for all these other levels. So as I kind of said, it was like a juggernaut earlier on. It does feel like that. There's a lot of interest. We were luckily given a sponsorship by Rope Ladder Productions when we went to Edinburgh, and they were really interested. What are the next moves, and how can we help you? And obviously they are TV. And there's, I think if you look at the general trajectory, it would be building on the live, while also building on probably social media or something like that, where you're able to, transfer it. But there might be a leap past that and just go straight to, a commission for a pilot, because, there is interest out there. So we are constantly talking, and also, our Gina Lyons. I mean, there's one thing about her. She kind of finds solutions to problems you don't even know you have yet. I mean, and that's the sign of like someone who's like a real producer head. So she's constantly looking at ways. So the fact that we've moved straight to Soho so quickly, and there is, even from the live aspect, there's options there that we've heard. So it is definitely going to move and evolve, and we'll get there some way. So yeah.
It's not a new thing, this idea of commissioners, producers, broadcasters preferring watching someone live in Edinburgh to then get them to translate their one woman show, for example, into a TV series. That's been the state of things for a long time. And as someone that hasn't got a one woman show or doesn't write for the stage, I've always sort of felt a bit sad that I because otherwise you're just knocking on doors that aren't getting opened. So people watching live content, sketches, shows, dramas, that's not a new thing, and I don't think it's going anywhere, which I think is heartening in this world of content online.
Yeah.
It's more accessible, isn't it? Because you're right, with the one woman show, that is thousands of pounds, and just to get there, it's the money, and then it's the time putting it in, and then you don't earn anything, and it's really difficult. So that trajectory for anyone who is not of rich parents and rich in time and all sorts of riches, it's really, really tricky. And you always kind of hear, do a one woman show like Phoebe Waller-Bridge, and then you'll get Fleabag, great. And it's just, I think the online and the digital, especially with smaller budgets, and you can kind of make more content yourself, as well as kind of making it in a bigger production for online. It is just that bit more accessible, especially because, for us, as we said, all over the place.
I have a question, and maybe Joe or Dan could answer it, or anyone else. If everything is going, if we're becoming much more of a culture of creating our own individual content and putting it on the multiple platforms that there are, compared to the traditional route that Claire was talking about, meetings for productions that have a very strong budget and make it onto television, is there ever going to be an opportunity to make real money unless you're a famed YouTuber or you're able to monetize your content on TikTok and Instagram? Is the time of well-budgeted productions in a much smaller lane, is that sort of dissipating as we welcome in this time of zero to low funded opportunities that only exist online? Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So
I think there's pockets rather than the big budget. I think there are pockets, and you find your group, and that group will be loyal, and you can make decent money. I was talking with a comedian. He's got podcast. It's not a comedy podcast. It's kind of been running a few years on Mile Editors, and they've got like 15,000 people who pay into a Patreon every month, and so that's now the size of a business of about £500,000. There's a group of them that do it. There's a lot of work that goes into it, but you can have those kind of little, small to medium-sized businesses and do excellent work. I think the mega budgets seem to have kind of disappeared.
There is a massive crisis in the TV industry at the moment. There's something like 60% of TV people out of work in unemployment, because ever since COVID, lots of shows weren't getting made because we weren't allowed to make them. And then as more streaming happened, it meant that less people watching terrestrial TV, and so the advertisers stopped spending. So everything kind of together means there's just been this absolute massive crisis in TV. I know so many people out of work who've had to leave the industry. So I think in terms of TV, there's money still being spent, but there's a hell of a lot less TV shows in general. And the advertising is never going to kind of come back in that sense. So that means the money does need to kind of move somewhere. So, like, for example, Channel 4 are kind of going completely digital at some point, I think. And I think there is the move there for smaller budgets, but I do think the money should start kind of moving online. And also there are huge revenue opportunities online through advertising and monetization and that kind of thing. So I think it's just kind of the world is just changing, and it is kind of growing in the online digital direction. And I'm hopeful the kind of big budget stuff will come back, but I don't think it's ever going to be what it once was with, if you're a man, you can have a sitcom. That's probably still there. That's probably still happening.
Yeah, there's probably still a bit of that. If it's a bit of a trope, but if you've been to Cambridge, the right people. There's probably still a bit of that. It's probably a lot less than it was, but
it's rife, and that's why we started the 11% Club.
Yay!
Yeah, I mean, so much of life in general is kind of who you know as well as what you know. And I think there was a thing that came out last couple of days about podcasting, where you kind of think it's probably the most level playing field of almost anything. Anyone can kind of make a podcast, but there's a difference between making it, getting it noticed, getting it developed, getting it seen, and all that kind of stuff. And so, even there's all sorts of inequalities within that.
Yeah, I'm intimidated by it. It's not something I I want to delve into. I'm happy. I'm still this old little lady who's making shorts and popping them on Vimeo. But I'm actually I'm feeling a bit fresh about like YouTube. I think YouTube might be my new home. I'm making a little series, a short form sort of comedy drama series with no money, just friends, very generous friends, and I'm going to put it on YouTube, and I'm going to tease it on Insta. That's the plan. I'm so sorry, but I have been consulting ChatGPT to guide me through this whole marketing stuff, which I've never loved and I don't love, but it has to be done. And I feel a little intimidated by this transition phase which you've just been talking about. But going back to Gobby, I do feel we have a strong female non-binary community, that if we're feeling lost, let's just reach out and work together and write a sketch about it so we feel like it's less heavy.
And just monetize that pain. That's what we're here, and that's what it's all about.
Yeah, absolutely. And in terms of finances, I know, Noah, you've had a grant recently for a short film. I mean, how important is, whether it's grants or matched crowdfunding and those kind of things, to just be able to kind of do the work?
Yeah, I mean, literally so important, because otherwise definitely would not be able to, like, I'm in a position where I'm having to support a family member, not not the other way around, or like where I'm just swimming in money. So yeah, it's opportunities like that, like talent development schemes, that are kind of the way. And I hope that they don't, with the financial crisis and with the way that the industry is, I hope that those sorts of schemes don't go away and continue to have support by like the government, etc. Because I think there are so many barriers for women of color, for just the minorities in general. So I'm really grateful for that. And those opportunities are invaluable. And I hope I can then pay it forward to other people, especially, not to keep harping on about myself, but I guess like with me being Libyan, I guess, and as a whole, North Africans, they're not represented at all in the media. And if they are, it's like both ways it's negative. You're either a terrorist or, kind of someone going through trauma and war or abuse. And so for me, it's very important to create work for younger North Africans, younger Middle Easterners, but also just to change the narrative around us. And I think the only way to do it is kind of to do it yourself, because it doesn't seem to be changing as much as you would like to in 2025. And that's enough from me.
Yeah.
Can I say, we have a sketch that I think, are you in, Nor, where we've got we've got two different podcasts running parallel. One is run by men, one is run by women, and the female podcasts are constantly apologizing for themselves and for taking up space, whereas the men are just loving swinging their dicks around. Sorry, Dan. And Nor, what did you just do?
Sorry.
Your method act.
We're both not near. You are playing, yes.
Yeah, so I'm actually just giving a teaser. That was just super meta.
It's a main character on the podcast.
Yeah, exactly. Because us girls, we can just turn it on.
Yeah, well done.
I love that sketch.
I mean, like you were saying about the number. Yeah, I hate to think the number of notifications in 1,000 women WhatsApp and kind of what's going on. But I mean, in practical terms, what kind of things has it helped with?
It's like, so the main group, which has 1,500 in it, you just post and you can't reply or DM. It doesn't really always work out, but there's lots of sub communities. Some of them are regional ones, so Gobby Midlands, Gobby Scotland, Gobby. So then you would maybe jump in there and you would know that regionally, or people you've got close by. But essentially, there'll be, someone could say, I need a DOP tomorrow with their own kit, are they available? Or could someone, has anyone got an example of a treatment for a comedy 2-pager? I just want to compare it. Yeah, no worries, DM me. And I see it. Like I buzz off community, and I think like as well, when you are a self-employed person, a lone kind of actor, writer, when something tangible and real like this happens, it is kind of magical. Now, it doesn't come without its faults. I mean, it's not ideal a lot of the time, but when it does work, I know that you can do any of those practical advice you can ask for, or for instance, it's brought me these women. I am in a group of like women that this is our troop, and that'll always be the case. And getting to know these women then, and artists and what they do, I'm like constantly thinking, oh, well, if I write something, I know you'd be great for that. That's a very insular thing, but that's something that's really important to me, and it's something that works for me. But on a wider scale, you could have, even people saying, oh, I've just won an award for this in a festival, but trying to get in there. Do anybody want to watch this here? Yeah. And you just get you basically get to use it, like dipping into your craft if you want, and then go and put on the fish fingers for your 4-year-old, and then go, right, later on, I've got this week, great, I've got something I can watch later. And I'm a woman and a mother, and but I still work a lot in the industry, and this, when I am, it means that I'm able to keep tapping in and reinvest. And what it's done personally for confidence and networking. I mean, Laura, I know you spoke about like hating things like marketing, and I mean, the things that I had always hated was like the networking, or having to, oh my God, not apologize for yourself, which is ingrained in me and ingrained in a lot of women. All that's gone, which I mean, I can truly say that. And now I'm able to move on to the meat of things and practically do things. So there's so many things that group does. I mean, as I said, it's not without its madness. The notifications can be overwhelming, but you just have to make it work for you. Put it on mute for a week and then come back.
I just think that I've had some real literal things from it. So I hired someone who I met through that group as a researcher for the Jimmy Carr show I just did. I cast people through it. I obviously have got this. I wrote Tradwise, my script, I've been banging on about it, comedy drama. I put a thing out there, and 6 people who have never met before off their own back said, yeah, we'll come do a read through. So we did a read through. Gina's also been putting these amazing workshops together with these amazing casting directors and directors. And a couple of weeks ago, Tristram Shapiro, whose CV is insane, he's done like Community and Kimmy Schmidt, Ab Fab, everything. And then 2 of my sketches got to be used in those workshops, read multiple times, working with this guy who, so it's just mad, like from a WhatsApp group to,
and it's non-profit, as well, like the admins that run that group. Like if we're thinking about what it's like to receive those notifications, there are women who run it. There's a few. There's Gina, and then there's another Fee and Ruth. But like they will try their best to kind of man it, which is insane. But also all the extra things like the workshops, which have been going on regularly from May right through, and also, Gina will regularly say, if you're going back to the content, anyone here do content create? Anyone got a TikTok or Instagram video that you'd like us to post on Gobby, on their Gobby kind of channel? There's these people are genuinely, they're doing it for the greater good, in terms of like, if we all feed into each other, we will all, like, they always say a rising tide raises all ships. Well, I mean, and that's, and that's what's happening here. But like, I kind of always think there's the amount of work that goes in, they're not getting paid for it, really. They're just buying into the fact that there is talent there. I mean, I think the quote that I'd heard Gina say at the start was, when she was thinking about it, she went, I am sure of it. I am sure there's untapped, amazing talent out there that hasn't been found yet. And this, if I could maybe have a vehicle, and I think her idea was that she would mentor 4 people. Well, it kind of, it's all, so there is that, there's a lot of insane hard work that's not really being financially rewarded, and they're doing their own jobs and on top of that. So yeah, it's like, at the minute it feels pretty special. As I say, being part of the Gobby sketch group is like, it's a dream come true, because it's like comedy. I love doing comedy, and I just go, I feel like it's a wee gift to go, like, yeah, all the other work that I've done is amazing and I love it, but this just feels like pretty unexpected and brilliant,
Now I've got FOMO. I'm gonna have to join the group again.
Thanks to Laura, Nor, Joe and Claire for coming onto the podcast. You can find out more details in the show notes about the show, Female Pilot Club and Gobby Girls. If you enjoyed this, check out our other episodes of a variety of comedians, musicians, authors and others in creative industries, including an episode with Gina Lyons, the founder of Gobby Girls. Thanks for listening.